Alright, so we've got the new prop shaft. We've got the piece that's going to engage with the shift shaft, right? Remember when we took it apart, it had these two bearings that we've got to squeeze into it, while we place it into the prop shaft. So they go in these first two holes. So one here. Scary. Yeah, that comes out. I'm going to leave it in though, because I want to do it all in one whack. There. Okay. There we go. And in she goes. She's not going in far enough. What are we doing, John? Yeah. Remember how we took it apart? It was kind of tight to pop it out. Same thing going in. So now we've got to rotate that guy. Rotate. These little dental picks are awesome for this kind of stuff because you can pull out seals that are tight. You can just do all kinds of stuff with them. So I originally got them for rod building stuff, but yeah, they're great for this too. I might have to redo that. This guy, oh wait a minute, there we go. I might be able to rotate him now. Rotate, buddy. Being a bear. You're being a bear. Ah, there he is, right there. That's who we wanted to see. No, I'm going to keep him right there, so I'm going to drop this guy down in there. Now I can rotate this guy. Alright, so that's as far as he needs to go because we got to get the clutch dog on now. So the clutch dog, I told you this ramped side goes towards the prop, but they even go one better than that. And if you look on here, there is the letter F, right? Which means towards the front, because this end of the prop shaft is towards the front of the boat, prop up. So we're going to go on just like this. But we want it to where our holes line up, right? So now we've got to get the pin through. So it's going through the clutch dog, and then that piece we just inserted in there, it's going to go through that guy too. If I can get him to move a little bit. Boom, it's in. That's simple. Now, to keep that spring or that pin from coming out was this slinky spring, right? Remember that? So we got to just work that back on to the clutch dog. I guess, since we're not talking much, if we're not listening to music right now. So what's this clutch dog do? Well, that shift shaft that connects into here, when we shift the boat from neutral to forward and then back neutral reverse, this guy is going to slide, right, up and down on this, because that pin in here is connected to this, connected to the shift shaft, and so that'll slide the clutch dog. It slides forward, or I'm sorry, backward towards the prop, right? Slides that way, we're engaging forward gear. It slides back this way, we're engaging rear gear. That's the whole purpose of this clutch dog. And I already tore my fingers up twice now. I always tell myself I'm going to wear gear, gloves. I got some good gloves that I am going to wear when we start messing around with grease. But yeah. Alright, we're almost there. Almost there, baby. Come on now, baby. Ooh, that's Got tight real quick. Ugh. There we go. Yeah, there you go. I got my glasses on instead of my contacts today, so. All right, there we go. So, prop shaft complete, ready to go. So our reverse order, we're going to move over to the bench. I'll show you something cool over there. And then prop shaft is going to go in the housing. Then the shift shaft is going to go in the housing. And then all the stuff that is on the shift shaft goes in the housing. And then the impeller, the water pump, all that goes on, right? Then we'll get the carrier, pull the old seals, install the new seals, place the carrier in, bolt it in, and we're done with that lower unit. What we'll do at the end is we'll hook it up to my pump so we can do a leak down test. So you pump it up to no more than 10 pounds of air, but you pump it up to 9, I go about 9, and you let it sit there, right? And give it, I don't know, 35 minutes to an hour. If it bleeds off, if you see the number going down, then seals either at the prop shaft, the ones we're replacing today, or at the input shaft are leaking, right? So then we know we just replace the prop shafts. We'll have to pull this impeller stuff back out, redo the input shaft seals, which we did the last time I worked on this motor. All right, let's move on. All right, so maybe a week or two ago, I sent Shay a link to a lower unit stand, you know, that's for sale. And I asked him, hey, you think you can build one of these? And then what, 2 weeks later or so, boom, bench mounted stand, right? And all I do, these are what holds it into the contraption. This one can be tightened and loosened for different size lower units. You loosen this one here and you can rotate this thing. So we're going to rotate it so this side's up so we can put in the shift shaft, but then we're going to rotate it back to where it's at now so we can put in the propeller, or yeah, the prop shaft. So it just makes things a lot easier. Thank you, Shay. Appreciate you, man. All right, let's get this guy loosened up a little bit just to make it easier to get the prop shaft in here. Get it back up. I think one modification I'll make, probably weld some kind of just handle on that there, that bolt. All right, so let's get that prop shaft. I'll give you guys a quick look on where it's going. Right in there. So we also have this washer that goes on after the shaft goes in, right? Or it could be on the shaft right now as you're putting it in. So I'm gonna put this guy back in the way it came out, which is there, right there. Sounds like she's in. All right, so we're gonna adjust this thing back up. We're gonna start putting in the stuff from the top. I thought I did a video on the water pump replacement. I didn't, so I'm going to include that one in this one too. So because we got to not replace it, but we got to reinstall it. All right, it should go in just like this. It's in there, right? Don't forget spring. Don't lose the spring. Okay, so now we're going to put the cover on here, but we need a couple seals in it, so we're going to go replace the seals and then bring it over here and put it on. Alright, so this is that cover that goes in the shift shaft. Cleaned it up a little bit, but like I said, it's got a couple seals that I'm going to replace since we've taken it apart. Typically, for most of it, now the props or the impeller stuff, you won't see me replacing a lot of seals with that just because those are new seals already. But this guy I did not take off last time. So we've got a seal inside here, which is this guy. Alright, and then we got this seal around the outer lip of it, which is this guy. And in comes our little handy dandy tool. Hopefully make it easier to get this guy out. There. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby. There we go. Old seal. Really not that bad of shape. But, like I said, I haven't pulled this one apart. So I'm going to replace it. So, get our new seal. All these seals while there's not really that stuff to get grease down in there in the lower unit, it's got the lower unit lube, right? Oiled, basically. But any of these seals, when you place them back in, and the impeller, you want to grease that stuff up real good, okay? So we'll put a coating of grease on the outside of this just before we install it. That was easy peasy. Now this one is pushed down inside here, so we gotta get a lip of it. And it kind of hardens, so this one's going to be a little more difficult to get out. There we go. I guess it wasn't that bad after all. So there it is. And then if you're not sure which one the new one goes in, just match that. I think this one is either or, but we'll just make sure it looks just like the old one. Come on, baby. Just like that. So it does have a opening. So you can see there, right? There's an opening in that side of it, where this side there's no opening. The opening goes down. Okay. So it's going to go back down in here. All right, that's in. Done deal. This guy's ready to go. So we'll place this over the shift shaft, put it in its location, then we're going to bolt it down, right? We'll put grease on some of the components as we do this, and that will about do it. All right, so we're going to install the cover for this. Another thing that I replaced that you didn't see on camera is there's another rubber seal right here, right? And that's for a water pickup. So it's kind of important. You don't have that one working right, you don't get the water up in the motor that you need to cool it. Okay, so a little bit of grease. Remember, use marine grease specifically, right? Because it's okay to grease the gear, right? The teeth on this gear, okay? The reason you use marine grease because it has some special additives. I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but to help protect it because of the corrosion you see in marine applications, okay? All right, so we got her greased up. Wipe my glove off a little bit. This guy does not go there. Slides down right here. All right. Oh, what we didn't grease is the other seal. Remember, we put that seal around here. So we're gonna grease that guy, and all it does is make sure it goes in, doesn't catch on something dry and get kinked, and it helps it get a good seal. Right? This stuff, all this stuff sealing is important. You know what I mean? Right, now this guy just has to fit in a certain way. That's what I'm talking about, sweet baby Jesus. There we go. Oh, I had it. Yeah, it's going to take the bolts to pull it into place. So we're going to put the bolts, a little bit of Loctite, blue Loctite on the bolts. Thread them in, tighten them down good, and then we'll move on to installing the impeller stuff. One thing about this stand being this high is it's easy to work down here. Son of a buck-toothed rabbit. It's easy to work on stuff when it's down here, and then you gotta start reaching up and put stuff over this. So I'll probably, the final resting place for this, I'll have a floor stand built for it that it will mount to. That is adjustable. So I can move it up and down. Come on, blue stuff. Oh, I know what it is. Fancy new bottles. Fancy new bottles. Don't need a lot. Then you see this has a little shape here. So the bolt goes through there. And that shape is going to fit right inside. And we're not tightening it down all the way. We're going to do them all kind of rotating across so that we don't mess anything up. Alright. Finger tight. Use blue Loctite because it's kind of a medium strength. The red Loctite is a high strength or very strong strength, so it's it's going to be much more difficult to get done. Old boats. Okay. Alright, let's go find what I assume is a 10mm wrench. We'll tighten those down. Alright.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes.
So alright, you already see me remove this bad boy, right? The impeller, housing, all that stuff. So now we're just going to do reverse order install. On here already is a gasket, right? So when you can buy this as a kit to replace it when yours is bad, right? And it should come with most all these parts. So that gasket, like I said, I just replaced this one. So I know the gasket's good. I know the impeller's good because when you replace these, when they're bad, these guys will look like that. They'll all be bent, right? Because they turn a certain direction, okay? And so when we're putting this all together, we got to turn it also so that it goes in there properly. That's why we use a ton of grease on this, okay? So the next thing that needs to go on is the plate, right? And look at it, figure out which way it should go on, right? Take it over the shaft. And you can't put it on wrong, right? I just put it on wrong because there's a pin back here, there's a pin up here, and it won't line up with the bolt holes and those pins. So we know that's not right. Spin it around this way. Ta-da! Right? So it's kind of, y'all did a good job there helping people out, making sure they put their stuff on right. Get some rubber gloves on because this is when we're going to start getting greasy, okay? Because again, that impeller, when that motor's running, that impeller's got to spin inside the housing to push the water for you to cool your engine. And if you don't have it greased up, what'll happen is on your first startup, you have a good probability of destroying that impeller because it'll be dry. There'll be no water in there yet. There'll be no grease, nothing. Right after this initial grease, while it's running, it'll always or should always be wet. So there'll be water in there, so it's not that big of a deal after that. You don't need to like, hey, every 3 months I'm going to pull it apart just so I can grease it. That's not the case for this. Okay. All right. Nice and greasy on the base. Okay, that's plenty of grease on the base. Now goes the actual impeller. If you look on the impeller, okay, see if I can get you a close up. There's an area up here, right, on the inside where there's a groove, right? And that's where this little guy that we have to drive into the side of the shaft, right, has to line up with. Well, that groove starts on this end, but it's not there on the other end. So you can put this in upside down. So just make sure the side where you see the opening for the groove goes down, okay? But right now, what we have to do, I'm doing that backwards. I'm glad I talked about it. We got to put the pin in, and then we put the impeller over it, okay? I've got the opening for the pin right here, and it's not easy. You're going to use some pliers. You're probably going to tap it with a hammer to get it in there, but we'll see how it goes today. These guys can be a real, what is it term? PIA, right? All right, so let me get a tappy and some big pliers. Probably just need tappy. All right, so here's the tappy. So the reason for that, it goes in that groove in the prop shaft, so when this spins, that's what spins that, not the prop shaft, but that's what spins the impeller. You want to get started at a certain angle so it's easier to tappy. So I don't like where I have it right now. Come on, baby. You want to come out of there right now. I can tell. You've got to talk to her. I mean, if you don't talk to your stuff you're working on, are you really even a shade tree mechanic, right? Back in the day, shade tree mechanics were kind of frowned upon, but everybody was. You worked on your own stuff. That just was the name you got. Out there in the freaking yard under a shade tree working on the car or whatever. All right, here we go. All right, get it where it looks even both front and back. Now we put this bad boy in. All right, put some more grease in the area, just so everybody comes together nice and snuggly. Definitely get some grease on the inside of this guy. Now that slot in it, I make sure it goes down over the top of that. So on we come. Don't worry about getting grease on all this stuff because it needs to be greased anyways. And at a certain point it gets kind of tight and you got to make sure you know where your slot is. There's my slot. I need to turn it. Okay. And we're on the slot. Okay, so got it over the slot. This guy turns, it turns. It can go down a little more, but what'll happen is when we tighten up the bolts on this whole thing, put the housing over it, it'll knock all that down a little bit for us. That little bit more is no big deal. So next we have 3 washers, okay? We got 2 that are identical. These guys, exact same washer. Then we have 1. Oh, I got those mixed up, didn't I? Yeah. Identical washers. And then we have a wavy washer, right? He goes in between those. So the regular standard washer goes on all the way down. The wavy washer, where you at, wavy? Goes on all the way down. Boop. Standard washer goes over the top of that. So that wavy washer just gives some pressure in between the washers. Holds stuff down. Okay. The next thing that goes on is this plastic ring, right? And it has a spot in it where it's, I didn't break it, right? It's made that way so it can expand, so it can go down over all this stuff, okay? Again, grease is a good thing on everything here. Over it goes. That's why it's split. It has to spread apart to get over that and get over this. Okay, so now it's going to hold those washers where they belong. The next guy that holds him in place is this little metal housing. Okay, and sometimes you got to tap them in because he goes over that plastic, but you got to be careful again because you don't want to damage that plastic ring. So no brute force, right? Take your time. Get frustrated. I've learned when I'm smart and I get frustrated, walk away, John. Just walk away. There, baby. Look at that. Look at that. You can give it a little love tap, but it's pretty much on. Just want to get level across. Little love tappies. Okay. That's not on all the way. You can try this guy now, and it shouldn't go up inside this guy. It should be enough that it, yeah, there we go. Light love taps. Down you go, down you go, down you go. Good to go. All right. That took much more work than it usually takes. But when you do these things once every couple years or every other year or every year even, you know, you're not a mechanic doing it full time, you forget stuff. And you have to refresh your memory on some things. So, welcome to the world of doing stuff yourself. Now, we're going to recoat that bottom plate and we're going to coat the impeller itself. Because this next part is what's important. Okay. That. Make it easier to get over these guys. Yes, it's a messy job when you're handling all this stuff, but somebody got to do it. Whenever you're doing this and you're like, ah, man, this is messy as crap, I'd rather somebody else do it. At that moment in time, in your brain, think about how much you're going to pay somebody else to do this, because it's going to be high hundreds, is not into the thousands, to do what we just did with this. All right, so let's get that housing on. What we're going to do is we're going to pack this full of grease, right? So that it goes on easily, and then first time we start the motor, this thing can spin without turning itself up. It's going to go on like this, right? Come down like this. As we're putting it on, we're going to turn this shaft clockwise, okay? So I'm turning it clockwise so that that impeller gets bent in the right direction, as I said earlier. So let's first gob it up, goopy gob it up. Just want a good coating, because that impeller is going to make full contact with this piece that we're about to put on there. Then put a little bit over this seal, not only to help it seal well, but also make sure it doesn't fall out where it's at as we're putting it in. A little bit of oil here, or not oil, I'm sorry, grease, because there's a tube that's going to go inside there. All right, so here we go. Bring it over. Down to where it's going to go. Start rotating this guy and just apply pressure. Might have to use the other hand. Yeah, apply pressure down. Boop, there it goes. That easy. And then there's two pins, right? That hit right in these two spots, so you know it's in place. Okay. Now, these bolts, I put some Loctite on them. These ones, because you're supposed to do it annually, right? Supposed to change out, or at least check that impeller annually. You probably change it. I would change it. So the bolts, so that they don't corrode and get stuck in this aluminum housing, I'm actually going to put a little bit of grease on them. Okay, so instead of using Loctite, I'm going to use a little bit of grease. So get a little grease on the finger, just so you know the contact area of the bolt will go nicely. They go in, and then again, just like this cap, they've got these like washers on that fit perfectly into the spot where they go, right? Get them fingered tight. So we're done. Water pump, the shift shaft, the prop shaft is in, right? Everything's good. Can't pull it out, right? That means it's locked into this guy. So next we're going to go over to the bench. We're going to work on getting that housing, the carrier housing, back in there. And we'll be close to the finish line on this video, folks. All right, let's go do that real quick. All right, so we're gonna get ready to pull these seals out. You can use a puller, which I have one, but I monkeyed with it off camera for about 20 minutes and lost my mind. So the shade tree, we're gonna use pliers, we're gonna use a screwdriver, whatever we need to get those out. So I started with a screwdriver on each side prying, and finally, there we go. Boop! You can see why it was so hard to get out. Look at all that corrosion around the edge of it, right? So as we replace these, before we put the new ones in, we're going to have to clean up the inside of this area too. I can get some of that out of the way, because that next one probably going to be just as hard, if not harder. Maybe not. We'll see. The same process. Get them across from each other. Slowly get it to move just a little bit. Tried to break my knuckles. There we go. Another very corroded seal. Okay, so we're gonna get my hand off because I got grime all over me. We're gonna take this carrier back over to the work table. Before we get over there, I'm gonna just clean it out. You guys don't need to see all that mess. I'm gonna get the new seals and show you how we put those in. All right, with the new seals, you want to find something like I've done before where I used a socket. For these seals, a 1 1/4 inch socket, right? And it fits perfectly. It's more better than that was. So, let's get this side down more, get it all even. You see how that's been pounded on before, because this is the one I've used before. Almost, once I get even, I'll start doing some straight down taps, but I want to make sure everybody's got a good start. I think we are. Folks, they are together. They got just the space they need down there. We are set. One more, just to make sure everybody is good. Yeah, she's bottom out on the other one. All right, so before we walk away and say we're done with those, you know what we got to do. You know what you got to do. You got seals. Yeah, you want to load these guys up with some grease. All right, and if you get some down in that bearing down there, that's fine. I know they're going to be lower unit lube on them, but a little bit of grease won't hurt them either. All right, so what's your next step, John? I'm glad you asked. My next step is I'm going to rotate this lower unit housing, and we're going to install that carrier in it, and the whole replace the prop shaft job will be done. I decided to do the rest of the work here instead of over on the table. Again, we've got 2 new seals here. They're the ones that go around the carrier, so I'm going to use my pick tool and get in there and get the old ones out. There we go. We'll wipe that down real quick before we put the new ones in. One, and then the other one's down on the other side. And they're both the same size, so it's not like, ooh, which one goes where, worry about that kind of stuff. Alright, done deal. Just wipe that down real quick, just to make sure the other ones can get in there good. That corrosion's good on that guy. Alright, new one. Just carefully pull it around, drop it in where it goes, just like that. Okay, flip the whole bad boy over. The bearings are good. Everybody's happy. Here, take a rag and just, that one's not dirty, but a little bit of cuck. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think, now. Well, if you got a parts cleaner, yeah, that'd be beautiful. Drop it in there. You're not going to hurt anything in here. You just need to make sure everybody has oil and grease where it needs to be. Whoa, too far, John, too far. Back up, back up, back up. Come on, boy. There we go. All right. Now what we need to do is we need to put some grease around both of those guys before we put them inside the housing. All right, so we're going to drop this housing in. What we want to do before we stick it in there, we want to put a little bit of grease on those seals, right? So they go in there nice and easy and don't get damaged going in. And it'll help them seal better. Sorry. All right, so let's wipe my finger off. I'm going to drop her in. So these ears, there's ears here. The gear, of course, goes in first. The seals are on the outside. So we're going to go over the shaft. All right. And ta-da, it's in. Now, before I can bolt it down, and then before I put the cover over it, which is this ring right here, right, I'm going to get the grease gun and grease this zerk fitting, which should be pushing grease right into those seals anyways. So, which we greased them, but we're going to make sure. So the 10 and the 12s. I believe the 10s go in now. Just caught. I think we'll be able to tighten them down over here. Just caught. Now these two, I think I'm going to put a little bit of grease on them again to keep them from freezing up on us, because they're covered, right? The ears on this guy right here is going to sit over the top of them, so they can't really back out like the concern might be, right? Because it's going to be bolted down over the top of it. So I'm going to do a little bit of grease, but then those ones that are bolting down over the top of it, I'm probably going to put a little blue Loctite on those guys. Alright, let's get one in here. Just get started. Alright, those ones had some grease. These next two are going to get a little bit of Loctite that are going to hold this on, which in turn covers those guys up. Just like that. Alright, those two right there. So let's get, I got the Loctite. Quit making up excuses, John. Let's get the work done, baby. Here we go. Take this guy off. Pull this guy up. Grab a bolt. Liberally dab it in. You don't need a ton of this stuff. Alright, that's more than enough. Get one started. Get started, baby. What are you doing? I didn't clean my holes out. You should clean your holes out. Don't take that in a bad way, folks. I'm not making dirty comments. That bolt needs to just, ooch. Be careful with these things. I just stabbed my fingers. Look. That one's bleeding if you can see it, and this one probably will too, because I just stabbed both of them doing this. Little dental tools can be hazardous to your health. Alright. Now we should slide through better. Sorry, you. Start down here. Yeah, right through that dude into the next guy. Alright, got him started. We'll get the other one started. Come here, you. Gotta find my other ratchet that has the 12 on it now. Okay. You guys see? Oh, yeah. I have blood. Always, Audrey says that she always knows when I've been working on a project because I'll have cuts and bleeding, and that's just the case. Rubber gloves wouldn't have helped there, but shot gloves would have helped. Alright, we got everything put together, but before we go install this or do anything else, we want to do a pressure test on it, a leak down test, whatever you want to call it. So we've got hand pump right here, got a gauge on it. I don't know why my gauge is so loose. It might affect its operation some. Oh no, it's just pinned in. So I got the lower drain hole plug in, right? And so this upper, or where the upper is, I'm going to screw this guy in. And this kit comes with all different size fittings. So you can fit from most boats. And I'll put hard to work on it this way, I should have turned it around. But I'll put a link to the kit in the description below. That way if you're interested in getting the same one I've got. Like I said, this piece I'm putting on fits my Yamaha perfectly. But it comes with multiple pieces in case you got a different motor that you want to make it fit. You can see right there, see, multiple pieces. I'm sorry you're looking at my back. I just had to get there to hook it up. So what we do is we just hook this guy on. Boop. Pump it up to about 10 pounds, right? You don't want to go over 10. I actually go 9 because you don't want to go over 10 pounds because then you can actually blow those seals out. And that's what we're testing. We're testing that the seals, right, will hold pressure, i.e. the seals are not leaking, which means they will hold your grease and they won't let water get in there and contaminate your grease. Oh, I hit the release. It takes a minute. You're going to work on your forearm strength doing this. Yeah, we're at about 4. Got about 5 to go. We'll fast forward this. Once I get to 9, we'll fast forward it again. And we'll let it sit for about half an hour, 45 minutes. And make sure it hasn't bled off. If it bleeds off in that time, then you know you probably got seals that still leak. And for me, with this one, I just did those prop seals. We know they're good. Now I had done the input shaft seals on one of these two had to be replaced. I'm trying to remember because I got 2 motors, right? I'm trying to remember if it was this one or not. But these ones look good when I pulled the impeller off of there. So I think I already replaced them on this one, so there shouldn't be an issue. We should not have any leakage. But this is just a nice way, instead of just saying, okay, we put it together, let's throw it on the water and go. And hopefully it doesn't leak anymore, right? This is a good way to just give yourself a little confidence that, hey, it is really done. And it's not going to leak anymore. Unless we do something stupid like run aground and bend the prop shafts. You know, I've heard of people doing that before. Alright, set her down, check the time, break time. Alright, magic of video. It's been about half an hour. It did start to bleed off, so I got some soapy water, which, don't ask me why I got it in a jug like this, but I did. And first thing I tested was the fittings on here. And of course, the fitting going into the motor had a slight leak, so it bled off a couple pounds of air. So, it's not the motor leaking, right? It's the fitting leaking. So I'm pretty confident that's all it is. So we're gonna get ready to finish this thing up, folks. But that's how you test for leaks.